You have exactly 47 minutes before the infected reach your neighborhood. Your phone is buzzing with emergency alerts. Your neighbor's screaming has just gone silent, and you're standing in your living room with a choice that will determine whether you see tomorrow. Do you grab your car keys and join the thousands already gridlocked on the highway? Do you barricade yourself in your home and pray the walls hold? Or do you follow the one escape route that almost no one considers? The route that gives you an actual fighting chance? Before we get to the solution, you need to understand why every escape route you've probably imagined will fail spectacularly. Picture this. It's day 1, maybe hour 3 of the outbreak. The news is calling it a violent disturbance or a rabies-like infection. People aren't using the Z word yet, but everyone knows something is catastrophically wrong. What does everyone do? They get in their cars. Within 20 minutes of that first emergency broadcast, every major highway becomes a parking lot. I'm not talking about slow traffic. I'm talking about complete, permanent gridlock. Cars abandoned with doors still open. Families trapped between vehicles while the infected pour through the gaps like water finding cracks in a dam. Your SUV with the half tank of gas becomes your tomb. And here's what makes it worse. You can see your exit. It's right there, maybe half a mile ahead. But you're boxed in by 2 soccer moms in minivans, a semi-truck, and a Tesla whose owner thought autopilot would somehow navigate the apocalypse. You're not moving. And that sound you hear getting closer, that wet, ragged breathing and the shuffle of feet, that's your countdown timer. The second biggest mistake? Staying home. I know. You've got supplies. You've got that softball bat in the garage. You watched every episode of The Walking Dead, and you think you can outlast this thing. But your home is a trap for 3 reasons. It's immobile, it's obvious, and it's surrounded by other panicking humans who will become either infected or desperate. When your neighbor Jim gets bitten and his family refuses to believe he's turning, where do you think he's heading when he transforms? Your locked front door isn't going to matter when Jim remembers that spare key you keep under the fake rock. So if roads are death traps and homes are temporary at best, what's the answer? The perfect escape route is the one that 99% of the population ignores because it requires you to think like water, not like a person. And I mean that literally. You're going to head for the waterways, not the ocean. We'll get to why that's also a trap. Not the lake where everyone and their cousin has a vacation home. You're targeting the rivers, streams, and canal systems that thread through almost every urban and suburban area in the country. These are the invisible highways that everyone forgets exist until there's a flood warning. Here's why this works. Zombies can't swim. Even if they could, the current does something beautiful. It creates natural separation. An infected person might stumble into a river, but they're not pursuing you with any coordination. They're being carried downstream, bouncing off rocks, getting caught in debris. Meanwhile, you're moving perpendicular to the chaos. But we're not just talking about jumping in a river and floating away like some kind of waterlogged escape artist. The perfect escape route using waterways requires 3 phases, and each one needs to be executed with precision. You've got 1 hour from the moment you decide to move, maybe 90 minutes if you're lucky. This is your window to get from your current location to your water access point before the masses figure out what's happening and before the infected reach critical density. First, forget the bug-out bag in your closet with the 50 pounds of tactical gear. You need a wet bag, waterproof, lightweight, and containing only the essentials. We're talking a water filter, high-calorie energy bars, a first aid kit, a knife, waterproof matches, and a way to make fire. That's it. Everything else is weight that will drown you or slow you down. Second, you need to know your access point right now, not when the outbreak starts. Right now, today. Go on Google Maps and find every place within a 10-minute walk of your home where you can access a waterway. Storm drains, parks with creek access, maintenance access points to canals. You want multiple options because your first choice might already be overrun or blocked. Here's something crucial. You're not heading to the pretty, obvious spots. You're looking for the unglamorous access points, the concrete channels behind industrial areas, the culverts under highways, the drainage systems that smell like old water and regret. These are the routes that require you to get dirty, and that's exactly why they'll be empty. When you move fast but quiet. Every person who sees you is a potential follower, and followers create noise, panic, and visibility. This isn't about being heartless. You can't save everyone, and trying will get you killed. You grab your immediate family or whoever's with you at that moment, and you go. You're at your access point. Maybe it's a river, maybe it's a canal system. Now comes the critical decision, downstream or upstream. Always go upstream. I know it's harder. I know every instinct says to let the current carry you away from danger. But think about it. Where does downstream go? toward larger bodies of water, toward the ocean, toward the places where thousands of other people will eventually congregate. Downstream is where the chaos flows. Upstream takes you toward the source, toward the hills, the mountains, the less populated areas. Yes, you're working against the current, but here's your secret weapon. You're not swimming the whole way. You're wading and moving along the banks, using the water as your highway but not as your vehicle. This is where those waterproof boots you hopefully grabbed actually matter. You're moving in the water when you need concealment, on the banks when you need speed. The water is your ally because it masks your scent, muffles your sound, and creates a barrier that the infected can't easily cross to reach you. If you can find a small boat, a kayak, a canoe, even an inflatable raft from someone's garage, even better. But don't waste time searching. Your goal is distance and direction, not comfort. Quick reminder, if you're finding this survival strategy helpful, hit that like button and subscribe. Here's what you're watching for as you move. Bridges. Every bridge is a checkpoint where you need to exercise extreme caution. Bridges attract people seeking high ground or trying to block the infected. They also funnel both humans and zombies into concentrated points. When you approach a bridge, you scout it from a distance. If it's clear, you move through quickly. If it's not, you find a way around, even if it means doubling your travel time. Your first day's goal is distance, not destination. You want to put at least 10 to 15 miles between yourself and the urban center. That's far enough that the initial wave of chaos hasn't reached, but not so far that you've exhausted yourself. Remember, you're not just running from something, you're running towards something. Which brings us to Phase 3. After roughly 24 to 48 hours of following your waterway upstream, you're going to start looking for your transition point. This is where you leave the water and establish your intermediate position. What you're searching for is what I call a Goldilocks location, a place that's not too remote but not too accessible. You want to be near a small town or rural community, population under 5,000, that's at least one major geographic barrier away from urban centers. A mountain range, a large forest, a desert, something that creates natural filtration between you and the chaos. Why not go completely remote? Because you need resources, and pure wilderness survival is a slow death sentence for most people. You need access to buildings for shelter, farmland for food, and hopefully a few other survivors who are thinking clearly. Your transition point ideally has these characteristics: access to fresh water from your river or stream, multiple egress routes, natural defensive positions like hills or dense forest, and existing infrastructure you can utilize. An abandoned farm, a seasonal ranger station, a state park maintenance facility. This is where you stop running and start adapting. You're setting up a temporary base of operations while you assess the larger situation. How widespread is the outbreak? Are there functioning authorities? Is there organization among survivors? Here's where we need to get brutally honest. The perfect escape route doesn't end with you sitting around a campfire feeling safe. It buys you time, maybe weeks, maybe months. But the real survival begins after the escape. The waterway route works because it exploits a gap in human behavior during the critical early hours. While everyone else is fighting for road space or hiding in homes, you've created distance and positioned yourself in a strategically superior location. You're not stuck in the city when supply chains collapse. You're not trapped in a suburb when desperate neighbors turn violent. You're not on a highway when the military decides to napalm the gridlock. But you're also not magically safe. You're going to encounter other survivors, and some of them are going to be dangerous. You're going to face harsh weather without climate control. You're going to need to find food beyond your 3-day supply of energy bars. The zombie outbreak is just the catalyst. The real threat is the collapse of everything that makes modern life possible. That's why the perfect escape route includes something nobody talks about: the psychological preparation. Because the route isn't just a physical path, it's a mental commitment to leave everything behind. Your home, your possessions, possibly people you care about who refuse to believe the danger or can't move quickly enough. Can you make that call? Can you prioritize survival over sentiment? Most people can't. That's not judgment. It's just reality. The human brain is wired to seek comfort and familiarity, not to abandon everything at the first sign of crisis. The perfect escape route requires you to override every instinct that says, wait, help them, or it's not that bad yet. We've talked about the route, but let's address the elephant in the room. When do you go? You go early, catastrophically, irrationally, embarrassingly early by most people's standards. You don't wait for official confirmation. You don't wait to see how bad it gets. You don't wait for your spouse to finish packing or your kids to say goodbye to their friends. When you see the first credible reports of attacks that match the profile, multiple violent incidents, victims displaying unusual aggression, authorities using terms like containment failure, you have already started moving. Because here's the mathematical reality. The difference between surviving and dying in the first 72 hours of a zombie outbreak isn't firepower or supplies. It's a 30-minute head start. That's the margin. Half an hour before the panic really hits, before the roads clog, before your neighbors start making desperate decisions. The perfect escape route is only perfect if you take it while it's still available. You won't know if you made the right call for several days, maybe even weeks. You'll be wet, cold, exhausted, and questioning every decision as you push upstream through some creek that smells like industrial runoff. You'll wonder if you overreacted, if the outbreak was contained, if you just abandoned your entire life for nothing. But when you finally reach that high ground and look back toward the city lights that are no longer there, when you hear the distant echo of chaos that you're no longer part of, you'll understand something that most people never figure out until it's too late. The perfect escape route isn't about being paranoid. It's about being prepared to be wrong in the safest way possible. And in a zombie outbreak, the safest way to be wrong is to be alive, upstream, and ready for whatever comes next.